going to a cafe and like waiting for someone to chat to me, or going to an art gallery and waiting for someone to chat to me. When you're actually like in the moment, it feels so uncomfortable and unnatural to try and start a conversation with a girl your age if there happens to be a girl there. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about something that I see people online talking about all the time, which is how to make friends as an adult, because it's hard. So I moved to a new city like a year ago. I moved to Bath in England, and I've managed to make like a bunch of friends somehow. Like I kind of almost don't really understand how, but I have a few tips from stuff that I've learned over the last year. So I moved to a new city about a year ago, and I've managed to make a pretty like tight-knit group of friends. So I thought I would share my experience and my tips with you, because it's so daunting and it's really not as hard as it seems. I know it's so intimidating. Like online, I always see people asking like, how the heck do you make new friends when you move to a new city? Even just as an adult, honestly, it can be a bit tricky, especially because a lot of the time the only people we're seeing are colleagues. So a lot of people end up with friends from work or friends from like their last job or whatever. But I wanted to talk about how to meet genuine like strangers, basically, that you just have a lot in common with. So I'm gonna start with what doesn't work first, which is going to like cafes or museums, or even just going out. I've never genuinely made a friend from going to a cafe and like waiting for someone to chat to me, or going to an art gallery and waiting for someone to chat to me. When you're actually like in the moment, it feels so uncomfortable and unnatural to try and start a conversation with a girl your age if there happens to be a girl there. And what you're doing then to yourself is you're just picking basically the person who's there and being like, oh, we're gonna be friends. Which I don't know, I feel like in a dream world that would work, but I don't think it works in reality. At least it's never worked for me. If you have ever just met a stranger in public and made friends with them, then let me know, because that is like, it's goals, but it's never worked for me. I use an app called Bumble BFF, which honestly saved my ass. I've met, I think, like 5 of my girlfriends now I've met through that app. And I keep meeting people who are like, yeah, we all met on Bumble BFF. So it's actually not as uncommon as it seems. It's just maybe not something you'd bring up per se in a conversation, because it definitely sounds like totally nerdy. And I definitely had holdbacks when I first started using the app. I was like, oh, what if this is just full of like, I don't know, I was like, what if everyone's the same as me and we're all nerds and this just isn't going to go anywhere? And I don't know, I was so nervous. And also because I've never online dated, I didn't really know how all the swiping and like looking at profiles would go. But I got weirdly savage quite quickly, which is a bit worrying. But I remember scrolling through loads of girls, and my boyfriend was sat on the couch next to me, and he was like, you know, like, you're gonna have to swipe right on somebody eventually. And I was like, no, I know what kind of girls I get on with, and I know what kind of friendships I'm looking for, and no one that I've gone past so far has been that. So I was like really picky with who I was swiping yes on. I don't know if it's left or right, I can't remember. I'm pretty sure it's swiping right. But yeah, I was really picky, and I would recommend being picky, because if you want friendships that are gonna elevate you, and you know that you're gonna be able to like grow together, I personally went for the girls who were like presenting themselves really nicely, was smiling in their pictures, weren't just all selfies. And I've ended up making friends with some really elegant, intelligent, beautiful girls. But yeah, basically you have to take initiative, whether that's downloading an app or talking to people or going to parties to meet your friends' friends. You basically have to be the one to put yourself out there. You can't just wait for friends to come to you. So yeah, anyway, I'd say I matched with like 20 girls maybe. I messaged all of them. I didn't wait for like them to message me or any of that. I think, like I said earlier, you have to take the initiative. You're never going to make friends with someone if you're not putting in the effort and they're not putting in the effort. And if they're the only one putting in the effort, I feel like that's quite rare. Whereas if you put in the effort and then you find someone who matches your energy, you're way more likely to become friends. You've already set the precedent that both of you put in effort to communicate with each other, and that's already a good sign for a friendship. If both of you are putting in the effort, then that's good. So yeah, I matched with about 20 girls. I was chatting to a few. There are some people where, I'm not gonna lie, you just know that they're not for you pretty quickly, because it might just be like, hey, how are you, blah, blah, blah. No, oh, not bad, what about you? And it's just like, there's like no conversation. Even if you try and make some conversation, it just doesn't go anywhere. And that's not bad. It also doesn't mean that they're boring. It just means that you two didn't click. So that's fine. But you have to kind of, I wouldn't say be brutal early, but don't put all your eggs in one basket, and don't force anything. That's the main thing. Don't force anything at all. Even if you've gotten to the stage where you've met up and you've had a drink, even if there's no like spark there, there's no need to go on like a second coffee trip or whatever. If you guys don't get on like crazy, then that's fine. Do you know what I mean? I'm trying not to be brutal here, but like basically don't force it is what I'm trying to say. Anyway, and then there were a few people where like the conversation really flowed, which was so nice. Another girl that I'm still friends with to this day, she just, she's so badass. She just messaged, hey, do you want to go out tonight? And it was like a Friday. That night I couldn't because I was at a work do, but I was like, oh my god, this girl, like, she sounds like a bit of me. So we arranged to go out like the next weekend, I think, and we went for drinks and we got on really well. And it was kind of like, I kind of knew from her first message that we would get on, so I wasn't surprised when everything went super well. Another friend I met up for coffee with, I'd also recommend, if you really want to push yourself, don't go for drinks with people, because obviously it is easier when you've got alcohol in your system to like trick yourself into thinking, oh yeah, I'm gonna be like super best friends with this person, when actually it's more of the alcohol doing the talking. Whereas if you just go for a coffee, then you know, like, because there's no other, there may be a bit of caffeine, but there's really no other substances. So if you're going to get on, you get on, and if you're not, you don't, and it's fine. I personally haven't been on a coffee date with anyone that, like, where it got awkward. I think if you're mature enough, even if you're not clicking with the person, you can still have a really nice outing, like a nice chat. Anyway, so I met those two friends, and then we all decided, well, because me and my friend Michelle, we've both got, like, she went to an international school, so she has a lot more American culture than the average person in the UK, and I'm half American obviously, so it was about this time of year, it was coming up to Halloween, and I was saying, like, I don't know anyone, I want to go to a Halloween party, but I don't know where to go, and we both decided to like throw our own Halloween, not like party, because neither of us had a place to host, a girls' night out for Halloween. So she bought some of her friends, I bought basically every girl that I'd met on Bumble BFF, which I think there was another girl that I'd gone for coffee with. So I knew 3 people from Bumble BFF at Halloween, and then she bought, I think, one other person, and then one of my other friends bought like 3 of her friends, and we basically all went on this big night out for Halloween, and it was so much fun. And I didn't keep talking to everyone who went, but I met so many people that night, and it was so nice because we were all basically in the same boat, which was, we're in a new city, we don't know anyone, and we want to make friends. And it was a bit vulnerable, but it was really nice, and a lot of us have stayed friends for like the year after. So I definitely recommend that, is slightly going out of your comfort zone and maybe getting a bunch of friends that you've made all together, because not every friendship is made for like one-on-one, you know, like I'm so glad that I got all of my friends together, because I wouldn't have guessed that we'd have all got on, but it turns out we have so much fun as a group now, so it almost seems weird to think that we would have just had like one-on-one friendships. Yeah, so anyway, we all met on Halloween, we all had a great night out, and then we all just stayed in contact afterwards. I would definitely recommend setting up group chats, 100%. Definitely recommend setting up a group chat, just so you all have each other's numbers and stuff like that, and even if 2 people met and they just want to like go off and have a coffee themselves, they don't have to like bug anyone for each other's numbers. But yeah, I feel so blessed to have these girls in my life, and I feel like it is pretty achievable. Like, I wasn't climbing mountains or anything to get this group of friends, but I've somehow been blessed with a group of really lovely, elegant, aspirational girls, and we're all very similar, weirdly. Well, I mean, we're all pretty different in our own ways, but we all get on like that, and it's just, oh, it's lovely. Another thing I did this summer for 4th of July, I was in the US for 4th of July, but when I came back, I hosted a barbecue at mine, and I invited... So at this point, by the summer, I'd met another girl from Bumble BFF, so she didn't know any of my friends, so I was like, oh, come to this barbecue, bring a +1 so that you're not uncomfortable. That's another thing. Make sure, if you're hosting something like that, encourage everyone to bring a +1, because you'll end up with a bigger group, more people to talk to, but also, if they're not vibing with your friends, then they at least have someone to talk to, and they're not going to be left out or have a miserable night, you know? Also, if you need a social crutch, that's totally fine, like, bring a mate along. But yeah, so she came to my barbecue, all of my girlfriends came, they brought either their boyfriends, who then got on with my boyfriend's friends, and it was just, we're networking, everyone was having a great time. This sounds ridiculous, but me and my friend, we actually talk about making friends like networking. I don't know if that's like bad or not, but yeah, we're always trying to figure out how to meet more people. I think we're all just very social people. I haven't tried and tested this method, but my friend recommends going to house parties. If you're still like into the going out scene and you still want to like go to parties and stuff, then definitely house parties are good. They're way more intimate than going to a club or going to a bar or something, and you're actually like forced to talk to people. So 100% would recommend that. And if I get invited to a house party anytime soon, I'll try and see what happens. Actually, yeah, I did get invited to a birthday party, and then I had to leave early, but I met all of this other girl I met on Bumble BFF, I met all of her friends who were totally lovely, and they'd ended up meeting each other through Bumble BFF. So I have a feeling when you meet one person who's met someone from Bumble BFF, you'll end up meeting all of their friends and all of their friends. And it turns out there are a lot of people using Bumble BFF, but we don't always talk about it because it is a bit, I don't know, this feels slightly lame, but it's not actually when you think about it. It's really proactive, and I get to say that I've made a bunch of new girlfriends in the city because I put myself out there and I made myself a little bit vulnerable. Once you've met people, the advice I would give is not everyone that you meet is going to be your best friend. You might just have a bunch of like casual friends, and that's totally fine. That's actually kind of like the goals. If you have maybe 1 or 2 old close friends that you're like really BFFs with, and then in your new city you just have a bunch of like casual friends that you might see for a coffee or something, that's not terrible, that's pretty good. I have loads of like casual friends that I'll see once a month, and then I have my close friends that I'll see like once a week, you know? It's nice to have that balance. You also don't want to have like 10 best friends, because you'll burn yourself out, that's ridiculous. Yeah, I think that sums up for the video. Basically my advice would be take the initiative and make the first move, but don't force anything. Don't worry, basically. Everyone's in the same boat. I think the more people you meet, the better, but at the same time, like, you know, don't burn yourself out trying to force a conversation with someone that you're just not vibing with. So yeah, I think that sums up the video. Let me know in the comments if you've used Bumble BFF or what way you made friends in other cities. Other than that, thank you for watching. Subscribe and follow me on Instagram if you want, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!